Welcome to your Thriving Heart for Thriving Life Grief Tips. Have you ever had an experience where you are grieving and your chest feels heavy, but you just cannot cry? Or perhaps you know somebody who experienced this, and sometimes you even feel that you can feel better if you can just cry, and at the same times you just seems to cannot cry. And at times it make us feel worse when that happen. I have many people come to me and say, I cannot cry. Does it mean that I don't love them? And that's not true. You not able to cry has nothing to do with whether you are able to. Welcome to your Thriving Heart for Thriving Life Grief Tips. Have you ever have an experience that you when you are grieving, but you just cannot cry? You're not crying much at all. And sometimes you might even feel, or perhaps this is your loved one experience, you might even feel very happy. You might feel a lot of pressure in your chest, and you might say, if I can cry, I feel better. And many people come to me with this concern and when we first meet, and a lot of people also become concerned if you cannot cry after a loved one's pass. The questions that I often hear is, does this mean that I don't love them? And of course, this does not mean that you don't love them. Not being able to cry has absolutely nothing to do with how much you love somebody. Your love is your love. It's not implied by whether you're able to cry or not. And the reasons meant most of the time that you cannot cry, even if you really feel a lot of happiness, a lot of sometimes people say it feels really stuffy or feel choky, you feel like you can benefit from cry, but you just not able to release the tears. And this again does not mean that you do not love your loved one. It's absolutely not the case. What happened is grief is very overwhelming to our system. When we are grieving, all your nervous systems suddenly have to fire differently. And when that happens, depend on what's going on, our nervous system, different parts of our brain that help regulate our emotion might operate differently in order to protect us. You not crying is your body protecting you. And this is because grief causes overwhelm, and when that happen, your amygdala and your vagus nerve suppresses emotional release, such as crying, if it does not feel safe to cry. Now you might say, what? Why wouldn't I be safe to cry? I'm an adult. I can go sit in my house. But perhaps it's past life experience. Perhaps with everything else going on, even if you are able to have time to sit in your house and uninterrupted, perhaps something in your system know that if you cry, you might spiral. In other words, if you cry, then you might fall into a even deeper grief or depressions or something, and this will stop you from being able to cry. A few weeks ago, we discussed about numbness, and that's also a protective mechanism. And a lot of people who cannot cry say they also feel numb. Not everybody. Some people actually feel deep grief, sadness, and heaviness, and say, if only I can cry, I feel better. Some people feel completely numb, and there is no right or wrong. Not one or the other is better. but this is basically when you cannot cry, it's a protective mechanism. This is something we see even more in with some people who has experienced trauma part in the past, particularly childhood trauma. Basically, your body, your nervous system don't feel safe. And so the question is, then what can you do? What can you do if you feel a lot of heaviness in your chest? Perhaps some people say they feel a lot of pressure in their chest or feel a lot of tension in their head. What can you do? A few things that you can do to help your body release your grief safely, and in a time with time, perhaps being able to cry if that is what's best for your system. And one of the things that you can do is to actually, the first thing is to not make it wrong, so to say. Sometimes people feel bad for feeling bad, and sometimes we feel bad for not being able to cry. And so it's okay if you cannot cry. It's okay if you feel numb. It's also okay if you cry profusely when you are grieving. And so just allow you to be you. And the other thing that you can do is to do something else that releases your energy. And perhaps this is screaming, like screaming in with the bathroom complete. Let's say you scream in the bathroom with the window and door closed. Or some people say scream into a pillow. There is a limit on the benefit of screaming into a pillow, but it's still better than nothing. But perhaps instead of cry, you scream. Sometimes you can do movement. Some people exercise, and it helps the feeling of happiness or feeling stuck, feeling heavy. And so perhaps it's something like exercise. You can also you can shake your arm when you are grieving, when you are not able to cry, when you feel numb, when you feel that a lot of tension in your chest. This is your nervous system being affected by grief. And so one thing that you can do is to shake. And when you shake, you calibrate the left and right of your body. So you shake like a dog shaking off water. You shake really, really hard, safely shakes really, really hard. Your head, your arms, your feet, your legs, your hands. Shake your body. And sometimes, a lot of time, it helps you to release. And I have many people who says they allow themselves to shakes, and then they suddenly able to cry and allow themselves to feel better, or they allow themselves to scream into a pillow or something, and then shakes, and then they're able to cry, or they just feel better. And so that's something that you can do. And then it's also very helpful, particularly if you have history of past trauma of any form. It's also very helpful for you to train your body of safe space. So ideally about the same time every day, and this could be in the evening after you come back from work and have your dinner and everything, but about the same time every day, you allow yourself 5 to 10 minutes to say, how do I feel today? And you can even ask, what shape does grief takes today? And there is absolutely no right or wrong answer. You just say, how do I feel today? What shapes does grief takes today? And just allow yourself, your heart, your mind to share with you. And sometimes you might notice you have more anger that day. Some other day you feel more sad. Some other day you feel, oh, pretty neutral. There is absolutely no right or wrong. Your feeling is always valid. And so that is one thing you can do. Another thing that you can do is to acknowledge it, to acknowledge that, let's say you feel a lot of tensions in your heart and in your body, and or perhaps you feeling lost. Sometimes people say, I just feel lost. I feel lost. I feel confused for no apparent reason, but you just feel lost and confused for no apparent reasons. And that's okay too. And you can say to yourself, this is grief, even without tears. And when you do that, when you say this is grief, even without tears, you acknowledge and honor yourself. You acknowledge and honor your feelings. And that's a lot of time can help you be more at ease. And so these are a few different tips that might help you. One of them or more than one might help you and be able to release a little bit of tension, release a little bit of happiness, if you particularly if you're grieving and you're not able to cry, and also help us understand what's going on. And as always, please know that sometimes it grief can feel very isolating, but just know that you are not alone. You have support. Even if at this moment you feel that you are not well supported, there are support, and therefore there is hope. I have worked with many people, so many people, countless number of people that at some point not able to cry or not able to feel or cry nonstop all the time. And this is range from days to several months. I have people who at the beginning has to be taking strong medications just to keep them calm. And regardless of what happening, it is possible for you to feel more at ease, to have a little more peace of mind, and to be able to feel joy as you want it again. This is Dr. BirgitteTan. If you have any question, feel welcome to ask me at any time by putting it in the comment below. If you find this video useful in any manner, please do subscribe and like the video and feel welcome to share it with anyone that you would love. And if you're not comfortable sharing your questions or comment in the your questions or concern in the comment area, feel welcome to connect with me directly as well. Perhaps your questions is more personal, and you're welcome to connect with me at drtan for grief@gmail.com as you written here, as well as to connect with me on my website, joyfulrichesbeyondgrief.com. And I care about you very much, and I look forward to see you again in the next video.